tell everybody about what you're doing on YouTube now and what the response has been from young founders who obviously look up to you in a tremendous way.
Yeah, well, so on YouTube, I started thinking about YouTube about a year ago, and I was making this podcast. I am still called The Quest, which was kind of like inspired by my own story of like trying to go through being successful and then finding it a little bit hollow, and then finding some other things that were more meaningful to me. I noticed all these people had similar stories of like entrepreneurship or like in all these different categories, sports or entertainment. So I started doing this podcast, and then I was trying to hire someone to like help me promote the podcast. And I ended up posting in this Gen Z server, like a Discord server, to try to find someone young to like help me out with it. And got this response by this woman, Jen, who's like, very young product manager in tech. And she was like, you should have a YouTube channel. And I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to do the work. Sounds like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. Yeah.
And so she was like, look, I'll help you make it. I'll do all the editing. All you have to do is buy a camera, point it at yourself, and tell a story. And so I was like, okay, I'm someone who's like, I'm often very much like a yes and person. I'm like, hey, let's just try it out, see what happens. Yeah. So I said, okay, I'll try it. So bought a camera, recorded a few stories, and she edited them, and they turned out really a lot better than I ever thought they would. And so we threw them up on YouTube, and they got a pretty good response. And then I just had a lot of fun with it. So I've been making videos ever since for the last almost a year now. And it's got a pretty good response from the tech community. I think I'm very vulnerable and open about like the things that happen, whether it was shutting down Atrium and, laying off 180 people, or the wins as well, and things I learned, things I'm not good at. And so, it's kind of an experiment, but it's pretty cool because people like it. I get a lot of positive feedback. I got texted this morning from a friend I had on the podcast, Harry Shuck, who's the founder of blanking on the name, $30 billion enterprise SaaS company. Well,
that narrows it down to 67 companies right now in this market. So many big companies in SaaS.
He was texting me and telling me one of his employees, he was in his Israel office, and one of his employees was like a huge fan and like said that, I inspired her to think. She was like, if Justin could do it, I could do it. I was like, that's so meaningful to me, like to get that feedback from people around the world for the content I've created. So I'm really happy to be doing that. And then I've also been making a YouTube podcast, which I basically copied. Like I watch All In. By the way, I'm like the biggest All In fan. I listen to every episode. Yeah. Oh, dude, you figured out. You're a great host. And sometimes your co-hosts don't give you enough credit for it. They started to more recently, but like for a long time, they didn't give you the credit for it. So I'll call that out.
I appreciate that. It's interesting because the public has been saying like, why are they giving you a hard time about your moderation skills? Like you literally keep the show moving. And right as I think somebody's getting boring or things dragging, you ask a good question, you're pivoted or whatever. It just comes from having done 1,200 podcast episodes. I kind of get a sense of when things are getting boring and when to move on to the next subject. But All In is some weird. It's weird how popular it's gotten so quickly. It's like creating a super team or something in the NBA, and it's become more than the sum of its parts.
Well, it's really it's funny because I spent a lot of time thinking about it because I'm a big fan and I love the content. Like I drive a lot between Northern California and LA, right? So I'll 8 hours and I'll listen to like a couple episodes on the drive, and then I was like, he's having so much fun doing this, or like these guys look like they're having so much fun. So I made a YouTube show. Like we'll do a show. I've got 3 of my other like kind of YC related friends, and we kind of copy. I was shameless. I was like, look, I'm just copying Jay
There's
Cal
been about 10 people who have said the same thing to me, and they're kind of trying to figure out their quartet. And I'm like, that's great. Get your besties together and do it. Yeah.
Because it was primarily motivated because you guys seem like you're having so much fun.
Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah.
But like people don't know behind the scenes, it's so much work to like, if you like corral your rich friends to get in one place and have like sound, like show up with like equipment and like
no idea.
Upload the videos. No, I have all the idea because I've done it with like,
now the public doesn't know.
With like Michael Seibel and Emmett Shears, my co-founders of the Twitch CEO, and like getting people to like upload a video on Google Drive or like to like have a headset, like
it's crazy.
It's surprising how Yeah.
The first 25 episodes was me trying to get people to commit and then sending them headsets. And I just said, I'm going to commit to doing this. I have my own podcasting team. I got 7 people on the podcasting team between ad sales and producers and editors and everything. And I said, listen, just send them the equipment. And if they lose it, just send it to them again. Go down to run to their place, install the software, show them how to use it, walk them through it, do a tech check with them, get them to upload it, all this stuff. And something happened after the Robinhood episodes and that whole thing where we had that whole, when Robinhood shut down trading, yada, yada, and then Vlad came on the pod. The podcast went 5 or 10x that week. Oh. And then Friedberg and Sachs and Chamath, I think, for the first time, got a taste of what it's like to, something you and I have experienced when you get a lot of attention at once and everybody starts talking to you about it. And that's when they kind of clicked into it. And I said, if you want to be successful with this, we just have to do it every Friday. You have to mark off your calendars and tell your EAs and your assistants and your spouses that time is sacrosanct. You cannot change Fridays at 11. And I would say 4 out of 5 Fridays, they bought into that.
Yeah. It's funny, but
this week it hit number 42. The episode hit number 42 on all podcast episodes in the world, which is mind-blowing after 55 episodes or 56 episodes. Yeah.
It's amazing, but it's great. Let's say you did a good job of, I don't know if it's you just picked your friends who you would balance each other, but you did a good job of
the origin story is Chamath pinged me and said, hey, I want to do the podcast. And I was like, yeah, you can come on This Week in Startups anytime. He's been on 6 or 7 times. And he said, no, I want to do a podcast with just the 2 of us. So you interview me, I interview you, you talk about startups, I talk about late stage, and we just chop it up. I was like, great, we're in the middle of a pandemic, I don't get to see enough, great. So we started doing it, and then we're like, you know what? Sachs wrote something really good about masks. And then we're like, yeah, and Friedberg talked a little bit about, his theories on this, and he's a science guy. Friedberg didn't have a Twitter handle at the time. And they both came on, and then it was like, wow, this is really working. And the only thing that is any debate now, I think, in the format is the amount of politics. I don't know how you feel about politics on the pod, but I'll just ask you, hey, what do you think? And for people in the chat room, what do you think about when we cover politics? Because it's been polarizing. Obviously, politics is the most polarizing thing. If you don't have business insurance, you failed one of the first steps of being a great founder. Startups should look no further than Embroker. Embroker's technology saves you time and money. Prices are up to 20% lower, and they got better coverage than all these slow incumbents. You can go from sign up to quote and purchase in just 10 minutes. I kid you not. And when you work with Embroker instead of business insurance incumbents, you're not dealing with large, slow corporations. The sign up takes days, not weeks, and the process is so transparent. There's no opaque pricing. There's no negotiation. You just get it all done. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I'm going to quickly explain to you one crucial type of startup insurance that Embroker covers. It's called E&O. You may have heard it or overheard it. It covers errors and omissions. That'll help you deal with scaling your business. And because any major customer you try to sign up is going to say, hey, can you show us your E&O? Part of the diligence process. So you want to get it now. It's not that expensive. These things are part of the process of growing up as a startup. And you know what? I find sometimes people wait until they get burned to put on their insurance. The insurance is not that expensive. You want to do it proactively, especially if you've raised money recently. That's the perfect time to deploy a little bit of capital into protecting the kingdom, protect your enterprise. So to instantly buy custom-built insurance for startups, go to embroker.com/twist. And while you're there, you get 10% off their already amazing prices by using the offer code TWIST, T-W-I-S-T, Embroker, EMBROKER.com/twist. All right. Thanks for supporting the show, Embroker. Love you guys.